Good afternoon. All right, so good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to this webinar entitled Searching Acceptable Research Problems and Presenting the Defense Paper. This webinar is organized by NEUST Graduate School Ph.D. Business Administration students under the supervision of Dr. Manuela Gutierrez, their teacher in the dissertation seminar, and Dr. Jocelyn Cruz, the Dean of NEUST Graduate School. I am Lorenzo Gabriel, your moderator for this afternoon. To formally begin with, we will be listening to a message from the Chair Program of Education Management Department and our professor in the dissertation seminar. Please welcome Dr. Manuela Gutierrez. Good afternoon po, Dr. Gutierrez.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Sorry for that. I thought I'm not muted. Okay. So again, to the Dean of the Graduate School, Dean Jocelyn B. Cruz, to our honorable lecturer, Dr. Richard Simangan, to our brothers and sisters in the profession who are here to support us, to the reliable members of Group 2, I will mention them in alphabetical order. Attorney Harold Ancheta, Attorney Leia Ancheta, Mr. Lorenzo Gabriel, Miss Lady Ann Murillo, and last but not the least, Mr. Angelo Santos, who seems to me the busiest. Participants from other colleges and universities, students of the dissertation seminar class of 2021, participants from other academic programs of the NEUST Graduate School, and those who are watching us live on Facebook. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the webinar on searching for acceptable research problem and presenting the defense paper. Looking for acceptable research topic, is very critical for students pursuing doctorate degree, and so is defending the research paper. The former sets the tone of your journey to dissertation writing, while the latter validates whether you are worthy to be conferred your much sought after degree. It is with high hopes that with this webinar and the practical tips that our speaker will share with us, your anxiety over these two critical variables will be lessened, if not eradicated totally. You have a very able resource speaker to help you with it. I hope that you will all keep your eyes and ears to his presentations to get the most of our activity. Again, welcome and thank you all for joining us in this undertaking. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gutierrez, for that encouraging and informative message. At this point, to inspire us further, may call on the ever-supportive Dean of NEST Graduate School, no other than Dr. Jocelyn Cruz. Okay. Ayan. Babalikan po natin si Dean para sa kanyang message. Before we further proceed, we would like to acknowledge our guests and participants for this webinar. We would like to greet our dear teachers in NEST Graduate School. Nakita ko sila Ma'am Jenny, sila Sir Philip. Good afternoon po si Ma'am Malu. And also watching our students from MBA and PhD BA program from NEST. And also, meron din po tayong mga students from Wesleyan University Philippines Graduate School. And of course, we would like to greet our viewers from our Facebook Live. Kindly please like na rin po and share our live and keep on watching. And I would like to inform everyone that we will have an open forum after the talk of our resource speaker, where our participants will have the opportunity to ask our resource speaker related to the topic. So, for your questions po, you may chat them on the comment section sa FB Live natin. And for those who are joining us via Zoom, you may message your questions on the chat box. Now, without further ado, we will be listening to the statement of the purpose of this webinar to be given to us by Ma'am Lady Ann Murillo.
Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and to all our professor in graduate school, and of course to our beloved Dean in graduate school, Dr. Jocelyn Cruz, and to our professor, Manuela Gutierrez. Good afternoon, and Sir Philip Valaria, hello, good afternoon po. So, okay. So our webinar today, entitled Searching Acceptable Research Problems and Presenting the Defense Paper, will help us in choosing the problems that would be subject of our research. Actually, researching an acceptable research problem is a difficult part in writing a thesis or dissertation because we need to consider many things. Nevertheless, this webinar will be given us the necessary knowledge on how to do it. We will also be given ideas on how to present our defense paper. We will obtain practical instructions from our speaker based on his personal experience during his dissertation presentation and as critic member in several research presentations. Once again, to all participants, welcome, and let's keep learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Lady Ann. And now let us proceed to the next and the main part of this undertaking, the presentation or discussion of our resource speaker. Our speaker epitomizes academic excellence. This can be gleaned from his educational background to his present work at the Department of Trade and Industry. He is a graduate of Doctor of Philosophy in Business Administration at NEUST. His dissertation entitled Strategies of Micro-Manufacturing Enterprises in Nueva Ecija using 4 P's of marketing obtained a dissertation grade of 1. Yes, you heard me right. Uno po yung kanyang grade sa kanyang dissertation. And graduated with high academic honors with an average of 1.08. He is currently the Chief Trade and Industry Specialist of the DTI Nueva Ecija. He is also a faculty member of NEUST Graduate School and also teaching at the Graduate School of Ph.D. and MBA programs of Wesleyan University, Philippines. He received numerous awards such as Hall of Fame awardee as Best Provincial Associate of DTI Nueva Ecija. He is also co-authored and authored of books in business management and finance. He attended several trainings and seminars here in the Philippines and abroad, such as the multi-country observational study mission on SME development in Seoul, Korea, and management practices in agro-based rural SMEs in Bali, Indonesia. I'm very honored to present to you our resource speaker, Dr. Richard V. Simangan. Good afternoon po, sir.
Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon. Thank you for that very generous introduction, Lorenzo. And of course, I would like to thank our organizers here, particularly ang ating pong professor na in the graduate school and formerly the dean also of the graduate school, Dr. Manuela Gutierrez. And of course, our dean of the graduate school, Dr. Jocelyn Cruz, the BA faculty, and all of us, all of you here in this Zoom and watching in FB Live. So good afternoon. So hearing po no yung message ni Ma'am Nain Gutierrez and also the statement of purpose of Lady Ann and also the words of Enzo, parang it gives me a lot of pressure, no? A lot of pressure. Okay, that I have to meet the expectations actually of all of these students here attending, no? Not particularly the faculty, no? But more or less, no, the students here who will be writing their dissertation, no? So just a week ago, you were given knowledge or a lot of information about writing the dissertation. So according to Dr. Niin, no, my role now is to give you practical tips on how to search for acceptable problem. And later on, no, presenting the defense paper. And I hope, no, given yung time natin ngayon, I will be able to deliver what is expected from you. So again, good afternoon to all. So my presentation is based on my experience, no, on how I was able, no, to come up with my paper, and also sitting as part of the panel or evaluation committee, no, being the chair of the panel or sometimes being an advisor, no. And not many of you know, okay, that I was even asked by Dr. Niin, no, to sit down doon sa kanyang dissertation seminar class together with Dr. Philip Balaria. So kaming dalawa po yung nag-evaluate doon sa mga proposal, no, title proposals ng ating mga dissertation writing students natin, no, because she wanted, no, to come up with really acceptable, no, research problem which are meaningful or relevant, no, and within the capacity of yung students natin typing. Okay, so today allow me to give you or to present to you my presentation, which will be divided into two. No? So let's go first with the first presentation, which I entitled now, Searching Acceptable Research Problem. So we just have here some few practical tips, but I hope that it will be of great help to all the students here. Either you are now writing the paper or soon, no? Because we have also Masters in Business Administration students here and also other courses, no? Not only the BA. Okay, so let's start with this first slide. So usually the question is, where do I begin? No? Okay, so this is actually the critical part of writing dissertation. Okay, questioning where do I begin? Okay, where should I focus my study? No? Okay, what will be the sources of my data? Will the problem that I will be proposing, okay, will pass, no, the judgment of yung panel natin, because we are presented with the panel or evaluation committee. No? So these are some of the questions that we have in mind. This is actually, no, the reason that why we have yung anxiety natin, no? Because at the very start, from the moment that we have decided on what degree to pursue, parang yung question starts now that at the end of yung 4-year, or that's at second year or third year course natin yon, then you will be writing now your dissertation, and also for the others who are enrolled in sa thesis natin. No? So it becomes a problem that haunts us now, okay, as we approach yung ating dissertation or yung thesis writing natin. So here are some practical tips. No? So first, I have divided my presentation into things to consider. No? The first one involves me, myself, and I, because you have control over these things. No? And then we have also the others. So a combination of me, myself, and I, and others would make up yung practical tips natin in searching for research problems that are acceptable. So let's start with me, myself, and I. So I said here, no, that the first thing to consider is the mindset. No? So the moment you are decided already on what the degree to pursue, no, whether that is a business administration, whether that's a public administration, engineering management, etc., dapat yung mindset natin is already there. No? So that at the time that you will be searching for problems, it would be easy if your mindset is within, no? It is aligned with your course. That's why we have to align your research title with your course. If you are a business administration student, then think of business-related subject, no, or area or scope of your research, no, where you will focus on. No? Okay? Kasi maraming misconception ng ibang students natin that while they are business administration, so they would tackle different research problem, no? Which in the end would not be accepted because we have a panel nga, no, evaluation committee natin. So, yung the very start pa lang, okay, you have to decide whether you are a BA Public Ad or other related courses yon or degree na yon. Okay, so you have to think, okay, something that is related to your course na. So, meron dapat alignment yon. It is a very, very important, no? And as a matter of fact, as early as your first year of enrollment, dapat you have already something in mind that you have to nurture, no? Kasi mahirap yung towards your second year of being a student and then into writing na, and then you have very limited time to think about no, what particular research. Doon nagkakaroon ng stress at saka ng pressure doon sa mga students natin yan. When in fact, you can always do this at the very start pa lang. No? Suppose you enroll now at the SEM, then more or less, no, you are now thinking of what particular subject would that be, no? Or research problem would that be, and try to nurture that, no? And then also consider other things. So, which you will learn from me as I go on. Kaya importante po yung mindset natin. Okay, kung engineering ka, focus your research problem on those areas, no, involving engineering. It could be engineering concepts, engineering theories, and that. Pag public ad naman, you talk about policies, you focus about legislations, you focus on local government units, etc. If you are BA, you focus on business-related activities, no? You focus on businesses, no? You focus maybe your focus may be on studying productivity, competitiveness, and a lot of things, or even profitability or sustainability, no, of businesses and others, no. Kaya importante po, the very first thing should be yung mindset natin. Now, the second thing to consider is knowing thyself, diba? Because sometimes you already have the mindset, but then you do not know yourself muna, no? So yung capability mo and of course yung interest, no? Kasi nga, andyan yung pressure, andyan yung stress natin, but also at the same time, you should assess your personality, no? Okay, do you have the capability, no? Suppose if you have already an idea in mind that you have nurtured and you will propose that as research problem, kaya mo ba, diba? Okay, do you have what it takes to write on the research problem or to undertake yung research problem natin yun. And of course, a very good consideration here is the interest, diba? Kasi yung interest natin is something that motivates us, that push us, no? Okay, in doing and in pursuing something. Parang sinasabi natin yan, if you have the talent in dancing, parang you know your talent and eventually, diba, you will pursue a business which is to say mga talent coordinating businesses, etc., or talent or entertainment business, etc. So dapat yon, so that in the end, yung expected natin ng mga readers natin or yung targeted audience natin will also be satisfied when reading, no, yung output natin because you pour your heart and soul into it during yung writing natin yon. Okay, so dissertation writing involves a lot of conceptual, physical, conceptual, emotional, and all other things to consider na yon, no? Okay, kaya importante yung capability natin at yung interest natin ay nandoon. So the third one is it should be purpose driven, no? Know your purpose. Purpose must be clear. So when undertaking a research problem or when considering a research problem, there must be something, no, that needs to be addressed, no, some sort of justification or a rationale why you would like to pursue a particular study. So dapat mas maganda, mas relatable if there is a purpose to that, no. For example, at this time that we have this pandemic and a lot of businesses are going into digital marketing, no, okay, or online selling. Maybe you would be interested, no, to pursue a particular study on how these businesses, online businesses, were able to cope up, no, with the pandemic, despite yung pandemic natin yon. So given that, meron kang purpose, meron kang tina-target na objective to that, di ba? And it is something that is relatable, no? It is something that is relevant and it's also timely ngayon, no? Hindi yung for the sake lang of conducting a study without even, sometimes yun yung maling perception ng mga students natin na they keep on proposing titles na yun. But when asked, no, what is the rationale behind the justification or the purpose, or even the objective of writing a particular problem na yun, so they are not able to justify it, no? Okay, so medyo nahihirapan sila because sometimes it's not within their interest or not even also within their capability na yun. So very important yun. Dapat tutok tayo, dapat bullseye tayo doon. Ano ba yung purpose natin yun? And yung purpose na yun should have an impact actually, no? Okay, and yung sinasabi natin na there should always be new contribution to knowledge yun, so that others would gain also from your study. Okay. So the second one, the next slide, yeah, importante ito. I know you are all familiar with this, no? Familiarity is a key. Okay. You should have knowledge on the proposed subject of research. Sabi nga natin, if you're undertaking a business administration course now, then more or less you should be familiar with the business and then industry scope and operations. It's important yon, di ba? Para yung interest mo, yung skill mo in writing will be easier no, once you are familiar in writing. Because it's difficult to write something that you are not familiar with. No? Okay? Kaya nga, most of the time, when you do the dissertation writing and then the data gathering, parang it is a must that during data gathering also, it is you, no, being the researcher, the one, okay, administering yung instrument natin. Kasi sometimes, you hire for enumerators that will do the data gathering, checklist, but come yung writing of the dissertation, parang it would be difficult for you, no, to analyze and interpret yung results na, not unless you are familiar. Okay, not unless you have administered yung questionnaire natin and other instruments natin. So it becomes a important factor yung familiarity natin. That is also the very reason, no? That's why I pursued yung marketing strategies of manufacturing micro, because it is within, no, the scope of my function in BPI, no? Because we deal with a lot of MSMEs, particularly the manufacturing and then the processing. And I really wanted, no, to make an assessment on their strategies particularly, kasi pag sinabi mong micro ang mga ito, yung tendency, no, that they would not rely on any strategy, parang as they come na lang, ganun yung treatment ginagawa nila, no? And without even knowing or internalizing the benefits of coming up with strategies, particularly the very basic 4 P's natin, no? Yung product, yung price, yung place, at saka yung promotion natin. Parang sa kanila, parang they are always at their comfort zone, no? Parang they would not want to invest. No? Say, for example, why would they invest on improving their packaging at saka yung labeling? Kasi nga for them, it's additional caution. Okay? But without realizing, what would be now the benefit of improving yung packaging and yung labeling na yun? So yung ganoon, no? So if you are an engineering student, dapat familiar ka din, no, on engineering concepts, engineering practices, okay, mga techniques, and all other, no, okay, on areas of concern that are related also to engineering. Ganon din naman yung public administration natin. Dapat alam mo yung mga legislations, you are familiar with LGU operations, because most likely, no, ang focus ng study mo will be aligned to those areas, no, or subject matter, no. Okay? Yeah, kaya policy, or if you happen to be also an engineering or even BA, no, you may want to focus also on looking into yung work environment natin, no? Dapat familiar ka doon sa work environment so that it will be easier for you to write, to analyze, and then to interpret later on yung mga findings and results. And there could be other more things to consider, no? Basta ang key natin doon is yung familiarity natin. Okay? So hindi tayo mahirapang magsulat ng dissertation natin if we are familiar with the subject. Okay. So another consideration is yung relevance. Okay? So this is really one important thing to consider, no? Whether the research problem, okay, would be relevant, diba? So we have to adapt, no, to the changing environment natin. Okay, dapat nakakasabay tayo ano ba yung demands ng ating times ngayon, no? Okay, since we are pandemic now, so more or less, no, lahat ng study natin, yung relevance niya, like I've seen, no, studies published on the assessing now yung mga online modalities natin, no, whether these are effective really at this time of pandemic or not, no? O yung sinabi ko kanina, okay, trying to assess now, okay, the impact, no, of yung pandemic natin dito and how our online food businesses were able to do yung pivot na yan, no, and come up with yung online marketing and what were the output, no, of these strategies, no, okay, in addressing yung pandemic natin na ganon. So those are something that are relevant, okay. So tignan lang natin, no, other than having the purpose, we have to align. Kailangan relevant siya, something that is important, something we can learn from it, no, and not just a replication of other studies, no? Although hindi ko naman sinasabi na it's not good to replicate, no? We just have to consider lang yung relevance of doing it at this time natin na yun, okay? So let's say old ideas may also become relevant depending nga doon sa timing na yun, no? Kasi nagbabago naman yung yung preferences ng tao, even yung environment natin. So a lot of factors must be considered to that. So relevance is a must. Okay, another one is you have to create attention, diba? Consider new contribution to knowledge. Okay, so parang it would be nice or it would be good, no, if we can come up with new, okay, particularly new research problems, okay, that would give us additional or that would enhance yung knowledge natin. Okay, yung usual kasi na ginagawa ng ibang nagsusulat is that, okay, they would scan, no, yung mga published dissertations or theses or other researches and then come up with an idea and then just run lang the whole thing. And then they would just like to validate lang whether they would have the same findings or not, no? Why not consider new ideas, no? Kaya nga, it helps really, sabi ko, at the very start pa lang, pag nag-enroll ka ng iyong masteral or doctoral degree, kailangan ka na nag-iisip ka ng something nakakaiba. Okay? Let's say, we are used to talking about marketing strategies, no? Pero something na strategy na bago, yung blue ocean strategy, parang ganoon, no? Parang wala pang masyadong nakakandak ng study na you're focusing your attention or your effort on studying yung red ocean, which is about competition, no? Of existing competition of existing market, no, among mga present players na natin, no? So why not go about the blue ocean strategy naman, no? Kung business, yun yung consideration natin, business. Kasi tignan mo yung competition, effect ng competition. Why not study what would be the effect if you would establish your own market niche, no? Or yung demand natin. And that would be something new kasi nga hindi pa nila alam yung concept na yun. So it would create really an attention tsaka interest. This is something new, no? Or another example would be, okay, talking about benchmarking, no? Okay, in operations, no? Or about total quality management. Not just focusing on quality management, but maybe wala pang nag-study na, why not focus my study or why not propose a problem about total quality management, whether this is really achievable or realistic ba ang total quality management natin or not, no? Okay, so that would create attention. Yeah. Okay, so the next tip will be challenge for the better, no? Meaning, no, you challenge the common and ordinary. Although madali yung reading from published researches natin, dissertation and thesis, kaya lang sabi ko parang sometimes it's also good, no, to challenge yourself, no, to come up with better ideas, no? An example would be sa BA dati, no, when students propose for a research problem, parang lagi na lang nakafocus dun sa operations, no? Meaning the aspects of operations. So normally ang nakalagay doon is, okay, the profile is status and prospects of a particular business or particular sector, whether manufacturing, service, etc. Okay, so why not come up, no, with better, no, research problem that would challenge yung ordinary natin. So another example would be at the time na si Dr. Mercy Santos dito, no? Of course, ang advisor na si Philip. Okay? Nag-shift sila doon sa ganong and then they talk about yung Michael Porter's, no, competition, yung sa forces of competition. So that is something difficult na it's not been done yet, di ba? Or during the time naman of Dr. Argel Domingo, okay, and of course, again, Dr. Valaria as the so instead of focusing on the aspects of operations na naman of businesses, okay, ang ginawa nila is, why not talk about value chain analysis, no? Okay, it is difficult to accomplish, but yet, no, it is attainable, no? It is something that is doable, and at the same time, there is a new knowledge that can be contributed, no, by having yung value chain analysis na yan. Kasi nga, even local government agencies, even national agencies, no, are having difficulty on coming up with value chain analysis, and this is now the best time, no? At that time, okay, that Dr. Argel was writing about yung dissertation na yon. So parang at the time, it was very, very relevant. It was something that is new. It's something that challenges him, no? Kasi nga medyo mag-shift ka doon sa nakasanayan ng mga problems na natin, no? And a lot more, no? You can also tackle about management practices, management theories, and a lot of concepts that you can test, okay? Just to come up with an exciting, no? And a challenging, okay? So wag natin isipin masyado yung hirap, no? Because if you want something Okay, if you are really committed to writing that, and sabi ko nga, if you have assessed your capability and your interest, then nothing is impossible, no? Okay, you can always do that. So again, for our next dissertation writer, I want you to focus on this, no? Para naman we can come up with new ideas also, new knowledge or new learning natin. So let us challenge, no, for the better. Okay. Now, the other considerations would involve now, number one. So aside from assessing your interests, you have also to balance it with the interests of others. So you have to put your mind, no, to yung target audience ng readers natin. So ano kaya yung gusto ng mga readers natin? If I talk on value chain analysis, will this be relatable, okay, to others? No? Although you are targeting yung business, okay, the industry or the business administration students and all of that, okay, so titignan mo pa rin if it is within their interest ba. Okay, will the subject or the research problem excite, no, yung ating readers. Okay, so parang na-foresee mo dapat, nakikita mo yon. Kasi if you are excited in writing it, then more so that others also would be excited in writing also yung research or yung dissertation natin yon. So you have to balance your interest and of course the interest of others. No? Kasi it's not intended for you yung study mo na yon, but for others to read also and to share, no, yung learning mo. Okay? Another one, this is also a critical part, no, when doing yung research problem natin, no. Okay, while you may have the interest, no, to write on particular research problem, sometimes yung difference is on access to data. Okay, so this is very important. So ano example natin dito? Suppose you would now propose a title, okay, of evaluating or assessing the financial performance of online businesses, no, at this time of pandemic. So the first question is, do you have access, no, to financial records? Okay, dapat yon. Kasi if you do not have access to financial records, and then sasabihin mo lang doon sa scope and the limitation mo that the study is delimited, no, okay, or limited only, okay, in presenting an estimate of yung financial yung mga items, accounts, no? For example, estimate lang yung sales, estimate yung expenses na, then that would not be a good research, okay? Or not a good study yon, no? Kasi nga it will be based merely on perception lang. So what we would like as much as possible would be an accurate study, no, that can give us a lot of information when other people no, try to read your content, no? Kaya kailangan yung access nandun. If you are studying about local government units operations, then more or less, no, dapat meron kang access sa LGU. You will be presented with documents, okay, so you can have a better analysis, no, okay, of those documents, and then later on you can interpret, and that would be good, no. So yun ang titignan natin. Hindi porke gusto mo yung problem na yon, kung nahihirapan ka naman, then that would not be a good, no, something that will not be acceptable as a research problem natin. So dapat pag-isipan din natin ito ng access, lalong-lalo na ngayon that our dissertation students ngayon, no, writing students natin ngayon at this time of pandemic now would be limited to having lang yung Google form as a form of accomplishing yung mga instruments na yun, yung questionnaire. Okay? Parang limited pa yung physical, medyo bawal pa, no? Okay, siguro sometimes pag medyo okay na, pag may vaccine na, maybe you can have a limited, okay, face to face, no, with your target respondents natin, no? Pero ngayon yung challenge talaga of having it completed yung questionnaire natin by having yung Google form natin ngayon. Sometimes very limited din yung Google form, no? Kasi kung minsan ayaw sagutan na yon. Okay, so we better think on or strategize on how we can really have an access to yung mga information or data na yon which can be used, no, in our study. Okay. And then another one would be constant search for possibilities. No, you have to scan a lot of published researches. Free naman si Google yon, no. Okay, also you can also do mga Google books, etc. No, lahat po ngayon ng ating mga engine, no, mga search engine natin. So you can type in, no, okay, and then you can scan for published researches because you can come up with an idea with those published researches. No? I mean, you only get the idea, not exactly copying, no, what has been done, okay, but getting lang an idea, no, and then making a pivot lang, no, making a difference lang on your approaches, so that it would have more depth, okay, parang mas maganda siya. Okay? For example, no, if one author studied, let's say, just one piece, no, o doon sa 4 piece natin, 1P lang doon, let's say product strategy lang. So maybe you are interested now in completing, no, yung other 3 Ps. So make it as a whole. So you are given an idea na, okay, why not make nga, no, in order for me to have a better assessment and a full grasp, no, of yung strategies, different strategies, no, involved in marketing. So that's not only focusing on the product, but also on price and then promotion at saka yung place natin na yon. Okay, so it would be a good source also of research problem na yon. Okay. So another one, okay, aside from yung Google natin, you're seeking for published researches natin yan, yeah, you can scan books, industry studies. No? So let me just share to you, no, my experience when I was proposing. So I was contemplating before, no, sabi ko, if I will not push through with my proposal defense, so title defense, so it would take me another year before I can complete my doctorate degree, no? So parang yung pressure sa akin when I asked yung the panel, no, when is the time for me, you know, to submit yung aking proposal na yon, meaning the title and of course yung instrument natin yun. So parang na-pressure ako kasi nga I was just given parang 1 week, no. So at that time, so I have very limited source of information, no. So what I did was I have to scan a lot of books na available dito sa bahay. Okay, I was scanning at the same time, reading a lot of concepts until such time nakita ko yung sa marketing book and I focused my attention doon nga sa 4Ps na yun. So sabi ko, why not do something by study na hindi pa nagagawa? It's a simple, okay, research problem. It's within my interest. It's within my capability. And I think, no, it will contribute into new knowledge kasi wala pang gumagawa. And at the same time, it is aligned also with the DTI, no, my function in the DTI, no, okay, assisting MSMEs on, and therefore considering how my study later on will be able, no, to put into practice or to use by my target respondents, which are my MSMEs. No? And I'm very glad, no, to share with you na after conducting my study in 2012, it was only in 2017 that the government, particularly the DTI, was able na to think of programs that are aligned also to sa recommendations for in the project, such as come up with program that will focus, no, on improving yung packaging, yung labeling, so yung product development, that is one, di ba? On how we can bring down yung prices, for example, of products ng MSMEs natin, on how they can have better access to market by providing a lot of opportunities for them, no? Either physical man yun na selling to trade fairs or even online, mga virtual trade fairs na yun. So parang, if I go back now to my recommendations, parang it is a realization actually of my recommendations then. So yun yung sinasabi ko, no? That by merely seeing, no, or scanning yung books na yon, we can learn from it, no? We can get idea from those books na yon. Okay? Lalo na ngayon, since most of us are work from home lang, so you have time now to really not only search in Google, no, but also you read a lot of books. No? If you don't have lots of books, you can also borrow books from other professors, and that would really help. No? Okay, and of course, another thing is that you should be abreast of yung current events. So by just listening, by just hearing, no, by just tuning in sa television o kaya doon sa internet natin via YouTube. So napakaraming source of ideas natin yon as may be proposed for our research problem na yon. So importante yon, no, yung current events, because that would be something that is relevant, okay, when you are writing your dissertation. And of course, yung experts are the best. Okay? So at times that you are already at a loss or nahirapan ka na, very limited na yung idea mo. So the best thing to do is to approach an expert. No? So this may come from your professors, no? Okay, or any experts in the business or in the field, and start asking them what would be relevant, no? What would be timely, or ano ba yung mga gaps ngayon? There are mga issues and gaps in the industry today that we can more or less, no, focus on, and that would be a start of a good problem natin yon. So sila, no, because they know they are in the field, no, they are specialized individuals, so they can suggest, they can have, they have, no, okay, okay, the authority, no, to give you, okay, what would be a researchable, okay, problem for them, no, okay, involving the industry, etc. In the different fields na yon, business man yan, o kaya management, yung public administration man yan, engineering man yan, o kaya education man yan. So experts are really the best in this field. Okay, and then the last one, again, is to network, network, and network. So network with others, the academy and other institutions, diba? Parang it's nice that when you enroll in your master's or your doctoral degree natin, you come up with friends, you develop friends, no? They become your circle of friends. Sometimes you also extend it a circle of influence na yon, no? So in some future time, magagamit mo yung connections na yon, no? So you have to establish network, no, with the academe, other institutions, with your fellow students, and a lot more, no? Maybe also other stakeholders that can give you also idea on what would be acceptable research problem natin yon. And this should be a continuing activity, no? Network, network, and network. So it's better to build and increase yung circle of influence natin or circle of friends natin, because in some future time, no, you will be able to reap yung benefits of developing, okay, yung good relationship with them, no? Okay, pag yung times na you cannot decide, okay, what research problem, or you are confronted now with different problems, adyan yung challenge, and of course, you talk about yung stress of writing yung dissertation natin na yun. So at times it can help you, no, when you have yung established network natin yun. So network, network, and network. So that's a very brief, no, practical tips in coming up with research problem. But I think, no, I was able to capture more or less, no, yung parang general idea, no, or considerations in coming up. And this has been actually, no, parang my guiding principle whenever I sit down either as a member of the evaluation committee and trying now to evaluate yung mga proposed research problem of our students, no? Pero in our mind, at the back of our mind, together with Dr. Philip Valaria, parang we just want to simplify things, no? Because sometimes the students propose research problem that may be challenging, pero parang it's not even within their their scope of interest. Or when you try to ask them, will you be able to write this problem, or will you be able to accomplish yung intended output for this problem, and we start asking them, hindi sila nakakasagot, no? That's why we have to simplify lang yung mga research problem. And the very first thing is that we just ask them, what do you think about the problem? Or what would you want, okay, as an output of yung research problem na yan? So doon nagsisimula, no? So from there, pag na-assess mo na medyo hirap sila, you would know, di ba? Okay, so again, go back to yung checklist natin dito, from mindset to yung relevance, new contribution, to creating attention, okay, assessing your capability and interest, and all other considerations also. I think it would help. Okay, so that would be for the first part of my presentation, and I hope I was able to give justice, no, to what is expected from me, no, in this part lang. So very, very light lang naman ito. Okay, so allow me now to share my other presentation, which is also a nerve-wracking experience, no, for some as they go on yung presentation of yung defense paper, no. Okay, so this tip now will more or less, no, release, no, yung mga anxiety ninyo, yung stress ninyo, yung pressure ninyo. Although I'm not saying that it will be totally eliminated, because that would be impossible, no. Kasi sabi ko, it's something that it's nerve-wracking yon. Okay, so the presentation outline will be, one is preparing for the defense, and then the second one is the defense proper na yon. So what would be the basic considerations or tips, okay, when having yung defense natin na yan? So let me just guide you to this slide, di ba? So during the defense proper, so ano ba yung feelings natin, no? Do we feel excited ba tayo? Yung nervous breakdown ba nandun siya? Or are we just calm? Okay? So you can expect mixed emotions, no? because of yung thinking mo, no? Okay? That what if no, you are not able to answer yung questions of the panel. No? So there's too much expectation from you. Okay? So yun yung nagbibigay sa'yo ng pressure during defense. No? Okay? But allow me, no, as I've said, to share with you yung mga tips natin yan so that more or less you will be guided and you will be more relaxed. Okay? So the first one is preparing for the defense. So the first thing to do is to prepare a checklist of what to do and what to bring. So it matters a lot, di ba? So ngayon, meron naman na tayong tablet, meron naman na tayong mga smartphone. So even without writing them, doon na lang. So that from time to time, okay, would be able to have a glimpse of this checklist na yun. It's very, very important. So checklist, ano ba dapat yun nandoon, what other things to consider, okay, and what to bring. Kasi nga, later on during the defense, tapos doon ka palang gumawa ng checklist mo, again, but the pressure ka, ma-stress ka kung meron kang nakalimutan doon. Okay? And sometimes, no, if you just save, for example, yung presentation mo sa laptop without even do a backup of your presentation, because anything can happen during defense. No? Sa taranta mo, anything can happen. Diba? Or it might be na your laptop won't work. So dapat tignan mo pa rin yun. Ano yung checklist natin na yan? Ano yung dapat gagawin na yan? And ang importante dito is, yan, get your manuscript, presentation materials, and tools ready na yan. Okay? So if you can have with several copies of your manuscript, the better yon. If you can have it in a soft copy or hard copy, the better yon. Okay? And also yung other tools na. No? Okay? So that it would give you parang peace of mind at the time of defense na, okay, I've already accomplished all of this and I will just check this during yung presentation na lang. So that would matter a lot. Okay? So the second one is review the manuscript over and over for familiarity and mastery. No? So bakit nila na-review during defense? Kasi nga maraming expectations. But then, kung ikaw ang nagsulat ng dissertation mo, so kahit balik ta rin man nila yung tanong sa'yo. Okay? So the panel evaluation, the evaluation committee would just like to validate lang naman what is written in the manuscript. No? That is the role of the panel, no? To validate, okay, whether these are correct or whether these were written by you or not. No? So therefore, if you are familiar or if you have a knowledge kasi ikaw ang gumawa noon, then review, no? So that you will be familiar and you will have a mastery. And then during the time of Q&A, at least you have an idea what page ba ito in order to reinforce yung sagot mo doon sa questions nila. No? Okay. Remember, ang panel or yung evaluation committee are there to guide you, no? To provide positive criticism, hindi po negative criticism. So sila yung tutulong, no, to enhance the study. So therefore, hindi ka dapat ma-stress. Wala dapat yung pressure na yun, di ba? You are given yung advisory committee mo and then yung statistician mo. The role now of evaluation is just to help to enhance yung study na yun because some areas may be overlooked, no? Okay, by the writer or sometimes by the advisor. So sabi nga natin, 2 heads are better than 1 or more heads are better than 2 and that would be nice. No? So important yon. Okay? So that at the time that you will be in the school na during the defense, huwag ka na mag-scan, di ba? Allow yourself to be to be at peace with yourself na, just be calm, gano'n na lang and focus na lang, no? Okay? On the defense proper. Kasi by the time that you will try to read and read pa pagdating noon, andun yung tendency again na hindi mo nabasa itong part na to that would contribute doon sa pagka-cramming mo, no? O kaya yun sa pagiging nervyoso mo at the time of defense natin yon. So review while you have time to do it, no? Pag okay na yung paper mo, so to be familiar at saka ma-master mo. Okay? And then prepare your slides properly. So sometimes it needs a lot of advice also, no, from your advisor and other people. And meron nga tayong sinasabi, no, remember the rules in preparing the PowerPoint presentation. Okay? Something that would be readable, simple lang, etc. Okay? Kasi nga, yung presentation mo should only be a bullet lang, no? A guide of your whole dissertation. And it's not meant to give you the whole literature, no, or the whole narrative, no? So titignan mo. Of course, kailangan attractive yung presentation mo. Yung presentation mo should capture, no, yung substance or yung content of your paper, no? And then later on, come the question and answer. Okay, we just expound lang on some items, no? Okay, as may be asked by the panel. Okay, so yun lang. Okay, so it matters a lot not to prepare. If you can have a nice and a clean presentation material. Okay? And then you can also request comments from advisor on the presentation materials and make the revisions if necessary. So do not be afraid not to ask for questions no, or for comments doon sa presentations natin because it would really help. Diba? Wag yung sinosolo natin yon. Okay? If you have a lot of friends, you can also ask their comments, okay, on how to improve your presentation mo. But more or less, no, your advisor mo is there to guide you, okay, because she or he knows better, no? Okay, and he or she is experienced already no, in that field. So more or less, alam niya ano expectations coming from the panel natin ngayon. Okay, and also practice your presentation. Okay, so do not do your presentation at the time of defense. So if you have ample time, practice your presentation, and that would really help not to push your confidence. Okay, para at that time, ma-master mo na siya. So anything okay, that will be thrown to you as questions, if you have mastered no, your presentation, at least no, hindi ka mararatil doon. Okay, yung composure mo will still be there. Okay. So this one you should focus on no, anticipate possible questions. Remember yung mga sumasali sa Miss Universe or even any pageant, diba? Yung question and answer is the one no, that brings attention to a lot of audience. Kasi before, they are more of beauty. Ngayon, nag-shift na eh. So it should be more of the brains na siya. No? Okay? Because yung beauty nga is defined sometimes no, as very subjective no, by the others. No? So ang titignan natin, okay, of course, is the brain. Okay? So anticipate possible questions. No? You go about the study, you read your study, and then come up. You write a possible questions that may be asked. Because the panel, ang role ng panel dito is to ask questions only based on what you have written in the manuscript. So hindi sila magtatanong anything na outside of the manuscript. Because at the time pa lang that you are proposing the title to your pre-oral defense, doon pa lang they should have already covered yung areas that should be included in your research writing na yon. So that at the time of the final presentation na oral defense mo na, okay, it's time for validation. It's time for confirmation. At times, parang ano lang, medyo sinapsycho pa lang ng panel na yon. But then, sabi ko nga kanina, no, if you really okay, wrote yung dissertation na yon, then there's nothing that they can do, di ba? You can answer no, every possible questions that will be thrown to you. Okay, so it matters a lot if you can anticipate possible questions natin. Or even ask your advisor also, no? To ask you the questions and then you answer also yung questions na yon. So practice na siya. No? Okay. So another one is you should have the right attitude, no? And then think about post-defense. So to minimize lang or just to remove yung tension or yung stress or yung pressure, okay? Just focus on yung mindset natin, yung attitude natin na, okay, this is about a defense. This is just a validation of what I have written. I have offered peace and therefore I am confident. No? That should be the right attitude. No? And then you think of the post-defense. Ano ba yung naiisip mo pag post-defense na siya? Diba? You are excited. Finally, you will be graduating. You will be completing your degree. Okay? So you look into yung happy moments na yon, exciting moments na yon para lang magkaroon ka ng peace no, doon sa sarili mo at ma-enjoy mo yung presentation mo. Okay? Do not think of negative things. No? Do not think of pressure. No? Okay? Just have yung right attitude na yon and that would really help you in your presentation of defense. No? Kasi sometimes nga, di ba, sabi nga, what the mind can conceive, the body can achieve. No? So kaiisip mo kung puro negative yon, yung katawan mo sumusunod yon, nagiging nervyoso ka. At times, na question and answer na, wala na, nablanko ka na. Okay? Kasi nga, inunahan mo, no? Marami kang iniisip, no? Nagugulo yung isip natin. Okay? So just focus, and focus lang tayo. Okay? And this one is good, no? Remember to laugh, diba? Okay? So sometimes, it can release yung tension natin when you try to laugh. Okay? Although alam ko, at the time of presentation, yan, medyo manginginig-nginig ka, etc. But don't forget, diba, yung human side mo naman, that there's always other emotions. No? Okay? Why not laugh, diba? Or if you can have the emotion of being excited, no? About going into the presentations, etc. And that would be good, no? And that would contribute a lot in giving a very good presentation. No? Okay. Anyway, yung panel, ano naman yun, they are not new to you because in advance, you will be given names of yung panel. And of course, at least you will be able to assess na individually yung panel. So ganito, okay yan, etc. So you have to think of something positive, no? Compose mo yung sarili mo. Okay. And while doing that, you also have time to laugh. No? Okay. And then also, get plenty of rest. Okay. Kasi it matters a lot, no? Yung health natin na yan. So you will need that. Okay, on the next day or during presentation na yon, so that you will be prepared. So no matter how long the presentation will be, whether that would be an hour, 2 hours, okay, whether that would be less than, at least you have plenty of rest, no? Okay, a lot of energy to do that. No? Now, on the defense proper, you are expected not to wake up early, no? Okay, why? Because you have to condition the body and the mind. So, when you wake up na, the condition mo na, this is the day, this is the reckoning day, and you have to think that this will be, no, that this will lead you to your degree na completion of your degree. No? So just mind conditioning lang yan, tsaka body. Okay. And then second one is, while you have the checklist, okay, do a final check-up of what to bring. No? Okay. Random lang, tignan mo lang. No? Are you ready? Are all the tools and the manuscript ready na? Okay. Okay, para at least ready ka na anytime, no? So do final check-up of what to bring. Okay, presentation materials and either the tools and then the gadgets mo. Even as simple as extension wire, no? Because you do not always rely na yung school will have yung extension cord natin or meron silang speaker, etc. No? Expect mo na, no? Parang zero base ka dapat. Sipin mo na, walang speaker yung school, walang extension yung school, extension cord yung school, walang USB yung school, etc. No? Try to anticipate. Okay? When you plan, try to anticipate na ano ba dapat na nasa iyo na, 'di ba? Okay? Hindi yung meron naman yung school speaker, etc. At that time, it won't work pala, no? Okay? Kasi hindi mo naman na-test, and that would add to your stress na naman or pressure sa iyo. That of course, it requires you to dress up for the activity, no? Since that is the reckoning day, so give it your best shot, okay? Wear your best dress kung nagsisimba ka or going to a party, etc. But then yun namang something that parang executive ang dating, okay? Kasi baka mamaya ma-focus yung attention naman ng panel doon sa damit mo, ikaw rin di ka rin makapag-concentrate, no? Okay, so just ano lang, something that is presentable, no? Something that is neat, okay? Para lang medyo okay, and something that you are comfortable with, of course. No? So dress up for the activity. And then pagdating mo doon ngayon sa school, so you now test, no? Set up your tools and then the gadgets, test presentation materials. Kasi you will be going there ahead of time, no? If the call time is 8 o'clock, as much as possible, if you can go to the school at 7 o'clock, the better, no? So that you can now set up yung tools, yung gadgets na, you can test yung speakers mo, kung gagamit ka ng microphone, gagamit ka ng LCD, at least working siya, yung mga plug connections mo are working, if you have a laser pointer, more or less, then you will be ready na. Okay? Lahat ng yon, particularly presentation material mo. Okay? So whether is it readable, is there time pa to edit pa, to make yung corrections pa, etc. And that would be important. And then if you have time also, no, and just ask for final instructions, no, or advice from your advisor. No? Baka meron lang gusto pang idagdag or just some instruction or just some recommendations pa, do's and don'ts, etc. And that would really help you in your final presentation. Okay. So this one also you should practice, but I know medyo mahirap ito. Be ready, of course. Stay calm. Parang mahirap, no? Focus siguro okay yun kasi nga naghahalo yung nervyos natin, etc. But then sabi ko nga, no, if you are the master of your study, then there's nothing to be afraid of, diba? Okay? Kaya nga yung public speaking, dapat pinapractice natin yun. Kasi pag hindi ka talaga nasanay ng public speaking na yan, yun ang tendency ngayon na you will not be able to convey yung message mo doon sa panel na yan. And that now become the start of questioning from the panel. Na kasi nga medyo hindi siya clear, etc. Alam mo naman kaya lang nararattle ka lang, etc. No? So, okay, it's a big help, no? If you stay calm and focused. But of course, yung readiness is a plus. So when it's time to present, start with a prayer. It helps, no? Acknowledge the panel and advisory committee, and then present briefly the highlights of the following. such as the title of the study, a brief introduction, and then focus on the statement of the problem, a little bit explanation of the research paradigm, and then the significance of the study, okay, a little bit of your methods of research, okay, and then some of these. No? Pero ang important dito na hahanapin ng panel would be the presentation of the summary of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Anyway, no, the manuscript, the final manuscript will be given to the panel ahead of time, let's say 2 weeks or 1 week before, so they would have time to study that. So therefore, just present briefly lang. Okay? Because the longer that you present, the longer the more that it can create tension sa'yo, no? Or yung stress sa'yo. So make it very brief lang, and then later on, allow them, no, to just ask questions, no? And that would be good. Hayaan mo sila yung mag-question sa'yo, diba? So it just focus on your presentation lang. Kaya sabi ko, your presentation material should be clear, not to give an idea of any parang loopholes doon sa study mo, no? Just make it clear and concise as much as possible. Okay? So when presentation naman, so talk in moderate speed, but maintain the energy. No? If it is a 1-hour defense or 2-hour defense, dapat hindi nagbabago yung energy mo. The same energy when we started, dapat all throughout yun. Okay, so pakita sa kanila na as you go on, pag nasa kalagitnaan ka na, bumababa yung energy mo. No, it really helps, no? Yung building and sustaining yung energy natin yun. But talk in moderate speed. No? Huwag yung masyadong mabilis kasi hindi maintindihan ng panel yon. No? So again, it takes a lot of practice on public speaking, on your presentation. But again, one important thing is yung energy natin yun. Okay? Just think about the good side of doing yung presentation natin yun. Okay? And then during the question and answer, a good advice would be directly answer the questions and expound a little. Okay? Wag yung going around to the bush, no? Okay? If what is asked from you, you just directly answer them. And then if it's need a little explanation, you just expound on these things. Diba? So guide the panel to your study to support answers to questions. Yes, you can read your manuscript, no, in front of the panel during defense. You can guide them, no? Sabihin mo sa kanila, okay, this is on page, turn your manuscript po into page like this. So it's written, it's presented in here, blah, blah, blah. Kasi there's also tendency for the evaluation committee na skip nila, na miss nila reading, no? Especially kung maraming makapal yung dissertation and they do not have the ample time to read, no? Every page of your study na yon. So it would really help if you can guide them. Okay? Kasi nga sa dami na yon, sometimes hindi na nila, no? Especially our working individuals, professionals also. So just guide them. Kaya nga ito ngayon yung kainaman of having the mastery and familiarity of your study. You can always guide them kahit saang page na yon. Or sometimes, your advisor can come in your defense, no? Pag medyo nawawala ka na sa ano, no? Okay? Dahil nga medyo pressured ka na. Your advisors, the role of the advisor is to guide you, no? So, sasabihin niya, okay, you can turn your page or your manuscript into page. It's written there. Ganon, no? That's allowed naman. And then take note of the panel's suggestions or comments, but never argue. Okay? Because they are the authority. They know best, no? Okay? Especially now, during defense, you can expect that yung composition of yung panel natin are really expert in that field. Kung business yan, they are graduate, no? They are connected with industries, etc. Kung engineering yan, these are experts in the engineering field also. Pag education. So that is something na good na i-implement ng graduate school natin, no? Okay? Because before, since we have very limited panel members, no? Especially in those fields, so kahit sino na lang, basta doktor, pwedeng iupo. Ngayon, at least meron na tayong tinatawag na meron tayong content expert, meron tayong expert on yung formatting, meron tayong language expert. Expect them, no? Okay, to know better. So yun yung role nila. You just take note of their suggestions or comments, okay, that you may consider, no, in enhancing. Sabi ko kanina, the purpose of yung panel, yung evaluation natin is to help you enhance your manuscript, no, for other readers, no, to have a better grasp of your study. Yun ang purpose. It's not, their purpose is not to demean you, di ba, or to put you down, okay, by giving you yung criticisms na yun, no. Okay? And another nga, yung never argue. Always acknowledge yung kanilang suggestion or yung comments nila na yun. Okay? So ask for clarifications if the comments given are vague. Diba? Do not pretend to know everything. Kung talagang hindi mo naintindihan on what they are proposing or yung comments nila, then you may just ask permission to speak, and then you may ask for clarification. Okay? Sabihin mo lang, ma'am, may I be given clarification on this particular comment? What will I do? Will I do this? Etc. No? Okay? Ando din naman yung advisor mo. Okay? So wag yung you presume na alam mo na, and then later on, when you will have the revision of your manuscript, hindi mo pala alam. So definitely they would look into yung addressing, no, yung mga comments. Okay, so titignan yon per comment and then what has been done. So address na ba to? Pag sinabing revise, okay, recast, etc. And that would be noticed also by the panel later on. Makikita nila yon, nag-revise ka nga ba, ni-reconstruct mo nga ba yung paragraph na yon, yung bang inclusion na binabanggit nila nandoon ba. So it takes a lot of to listen carefully, no? But then sabi ko, it's always good to ask questions for clarification. Okay? So be courteous and grateful all throughout the defense. Hindi mo kalaban yung panel, di ba? They are here to guide you. So therefore, just be courteous lang and be grateful. No? Maybe say good words or even saying thank you, no? Okay, noted po, etc. Yan. So yun lang yun, no? Okay, although wala naman ng instances na nakikipag-away yung ano, no? Although I know some experience in the past na talagang nagrepresent talagang they would really push, no, for what they know. So inaaway yung panel, etc. So the panel is there, sabi ko nga, as ano lang yon, to guide you, no, in the enhancement of the manuscript, no? Kaya give them the due respect also, okay, by being courteous at saka grateful all throughout yung defense natin yan. Okay? And one important thing, very, very good thing to do is say thank you after the defense. Diba? At least okay ka na, you have said your piece, so allow now, and be grateful and say thank you, no, okay, to the members, etc. So that would help also for the members of yung evaluation committee natin. And of course, sa'yo na yun, no, being grateful as you were able to do it, diba? Okay? Because that would now be the culminating activity for your degree and you will be conferred yung degree mo na yun. Okay, so you have to be thankful, no? Not only for the panel, maybe from above, no? Kasi for giving you all the strengths, or the stamina, and all other things that you need, no, in doing yung writing na yan. Diba? Sabi nga ni Dr. Jenny, yung writing na yan takes a lot of time. Diba? Some would do yung writing nila for a year, even for more than 1 year, no? For others in a semester, for others for less than 3 months, 2 months, depending on the situation. So vary in yung situations natin yun. Okay? So with that, yeah, thank you very much, and I hope I was able to give you practical tips, no? Okay, first in searching for problems, and second one, what you are expected to do during your presentation of the defense paper. So thank you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richard Simangan, for that very informative, inspiring, encouraging, and relevant lecture. Talagang napakarami naming natutunan at nagkaroon kami ng extra na kumpiyansa sa aming mga sarili at siguro sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin ngayon, no? And we shall now proceed with our open forum or the question and answer part of this webinar. While you were talking, Dr. Ricky, we have gathered some questions from our participants. The first question is, sabi po niya rito, of all the tips you gave us in searching acceptable research problems, which do you think is most effective?
You know, no, yung practical tips I gave you is a checklist, no? But then there is no such thing as the most effective, no? Because it should be a mix, really, of these tips na yun, di ba? You cannot focus on being relevant if you have hard time accessing yung data, di ba? Yung parang ganoon na. You cannot also consider as most critical naman yung accessing data. Okay, you may have access to data, but then yung proposed topic mo may not be relevant or yung contributions, etc. So it would be better if you have a mix of all these. No? Kung kaya mong gawin lahat yon the better yon, no? Yung mindset is it's very easy yung mindset na yan, no? It's mind conditioning lang yung mindset na yan. Pero if you talk about yung timeliness, etc., yung impact, yung importance, you consider yung relevance niya. But then again, aside from relevance also, do you have the capability also of doing it? Do you have the interest? Will other people, reader or individuals would also be interested in your study? So wala akong masasabi na single, no, doon sa tips na binigay ko, no. Okay? So kung pwedeng lahat ng 'yon, check, the better 'yon, 'di ba? At least the more choices, the more variables, the better for the writer. 'Di ba? Mas kumbaga mas ano siya yung screen siya, okay? So makikita mo na mataas yung probability mo for the research problem to be accepted if you have considered all of these. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you po. Ayan, so sundin po natin lahat ng tips na ibinigay ni Dr. Simangan. At eto po, this question is from Ma'am Marie Santa Ana. Sabi po niya rito, do you recommend running research papers through a plagiarism checking software before submitting them?
Yeah, that would be necessary and that should be a must. Di ba? Okay, very important now. Ang focus ngayon ng mga institutions, particularly sa research now, is doing yung plug scan at saka Grammarly check natin yon. Okay, in the past kasi, parang we are limited to yung free account lang ng plug scan natin na yon, no? But since the university now is giving us access, no, is giving us yung account doon sa plagiarism check na yon, then it is a must, di ba? Lalo na ngayon, doon sa requirement natin with the APA 7th edition, so it gives you a lot of guide, no, on how to properly and effectively present yung mga paper natin yon without violating, no, okay, yung mga authors of different books that you have cited, diba? So there's a proper way of citing. Ang nangyayari kasi ngayon, no, or even in the past, is parang a direct copy, parang copy-paste, no? And din nilalagay mo lang na according to, for example, no, Balaria, tapos 2013, and then kinapi mo na as is yung nasa ano niya, nasa dissertation niya. It's not that. No, there's a proper way of doing that. Pwede mong i-reconstruct in a way, yun na yun, para pag niran mo doon sa ano, at least, no, medyo mababa yung similarity. And that would now be yung proposal natin dapat doon sa mga susunod natin. Kaya nga, yun ang role ng ating language expert now. Yung content expert will now guide you on how to do, no, or yung approach mo in accomplishing yung research problem mo. Ang language expert naman ngayon, ang role niya yan is to help you so that yung presentation mo of yung dissertation mo, okay, whether that's in the introduction or citing related literature or reinforcing your findings in chapter 4, etc., then yun yung role niya ngayon. Na i-check niya yon, itama yon, tulungan yung student natin. And that would be a valuable contribution from our language expert. So wag mo nang i-expect yon from our content expert kasi iba yung field nila, no? Nor from the Dean of the Graduate School, si Dean Josie, kasi guidance yung ano yan. So meron kanya-kanyang expert yan. So ngayon, everything can be done naman online. It's free. Okay? So more or less, no? Kahit yung free account nga lang, makikita mo naman na yung similarity doon at saka yung suggestions. Okay? So thank you. And so
okay po, thank you. Next question po. In your experience, what was the most difficult part about dissertation defense? And may follow-up question po siya rito. What can you recommend to counter it?
honestly, wala. I was excited when I was about to deliver my paper, no. I had 167 slides because my dissertation paper is about 500 more pages. So I have to make it a way na yung substance or yung content ng aking dissertation will be captured in those slides. Kaya 167 yung slides ko because more of pictures, etc., to make it more yung appealing, no? Yung aesthetic niya, yung virtue, yung appeal, no? Kasi you have to remember, if you prepare a presentation material that is purely yung puro textual lang, very plain, ang tendency nun, it is boring, no? It's boring. No? So akong ginawa ko, I make it a way na yung palang covering page ko, slide ko, are pictures of products, no? that I have included in my study, no? Okay, picture of food, yung mga slippers ng gapan, yung mga dairy products, etc. Para at a glance pa lang sa first pa lang, okay, so this is exciting. And then as you go on, so makikita mo in every slide na yon may presentation siya, pero I made use of graphical presentations, a lot of different yung mga tools no provided para lalong ma-excite, no. Okay, that even my advisor sa sobrang excitement ni Dr. Ani Tulod noon, nagdala din siya ng mga actual packaging, actual labeling, just to show the panel lang para maintindihan nila what I am talking about, no. So other than the picture, may actual siya, ganon siya. So for me, no, siguro I was trained talaga, no. I have mastered public speaking. I was trained. Okay, ako yung author ng book na yon. Even in data gathering, I did not allow myself no to do to have it gathered by somebody else, no. All throughout yung data gathering ko, I just had to schedule my trip, no. Kailangan naka-align doon sa travel ng sasakyan, no, kasi that would really help me, no, save more on transportation. So I had 34 respondents MSMEs, no, in the entire Nueva Ecija, no. I have from food and food processing, I have yung furniture and fixture, I have yung giftware, houseware, and decor. And then I have also, so apat na sector yung study ko. I did all the data gathering for that, no. So what purpose? Bakit ako ang nag-data gathering? So that at the time that they would answer yung instrument na yon, sa time pa lang na yon, I can already ask them. Okay? It's not merely asking them pag chinek nila na ito, you can already ask them why. For example, chinek nila, do you invest on packaging? No. So pag no yon at hindi mo sila ask further for questions, so therefore at the time that you will be writing the dissertations, you will not make up a good analysis or interpretation of your study. That's why siguro inabot ng more than 500 pages yon, because yung mastery ko, no, familiarity ko doon sa area na yon, research problem na yon. So at the time that I was writing, mahaba yung aking explanation, analysis at saka interpretation ko. So that at the time of presentation, yeah, just to ano lang, no, to share it with you. Ang na-stress yung panel, hindi ako. Diba? Because I was presenting for about 2 hours. So sabi nila, after 1 hour, Dr. Sir Richard, sabi niya, di pa nagbabago yung energy mo, hindi ka pa pagod, etc. Lahat kami nag-CR na kami, etc. Ikaw hindi pa. Sabi ko, no. Kasi nga, I am very, very excited nga ang presenting yung paper ko na yon. And that siguro manifested also, siguro kaya yung, although I was not aiming for a perfect one na grade, pero since nga I'm very, very full of confidence dun sa sarili ko in preparing, siguro yun ang nakita nila, yung mastery na kahit alin. And you know what? After my presentation, not a single question was asked because everything daw was already in the paper. Although they were provided with my manuscript 2 weeks before, they have read it. Sabi nila wala na silang ma-question. And I also happened to be yung pinakamabilis na dinaside nila, no. So lumabas kami ng advisor ko, wala pang 2 minutes, pinababalik na kami, and then they made the decision, the rating. So yun, no, you have to boost your confidence, no. Okay, it takes a lot of practice, gradual yon. Kaya naman yon. And of course nga, yung at least, no, yung interest mo dapat doon sa subject nandoon para kahit ano man itanong sa'yo, hindi ka maliligaw. 360 degrees man yan, hindi ka maliligaw. Okay. So yun, no? So sorry for not answering na wala talaga ako during the defense. Thank you, Enzo.
Wow. Sir, last question. How to be you daw po?
You have your own ano naman. You have your own, we have our own individual differences, personality, meron tayong mga kanya-kanyang strengths, meron tayong kanya-kanyang weaknesses. Try to focus on overcoming yung mga weaknesses nyo and try to develop them to become your strength. Siguro nga sa akin, from the very start when I was elementary, siguro nga ang mindset ko is to be an achiever, no? Okay, parang ganoon. But I was doing it for myself. I was not competing for anybody, no? Parang ganun lang. Parang gusto ko lagi nasa sistema when I write, etc. This one lahat nakaplano, naka-schedule. Ang tinanong ko lang sa advisor ko last time is, ma'am, kailan ko dapat ibigay sa'yo ang aking first draft of manuscript ko? Okay, so nung sinabi niya sa akin, by September 30, you have to give me. So from there, kinalendar ko na. So each day, ano dapat yung matatapos ko, etc. Okay, ganon. So I have to sacrifice muna yung Saturday and Sundays ko na dapat masarap matulog, etc. No? Okay, so I was working at that time. Hindi ako nag-leave ng office for 1 sem. No? Okay, I did my data gathering for, say, 1 month. I did the writing for also 1 month. I was able to finish it. Okay, so naka-schedule yon. So tinitignan ko, dapat at this day, ano na dapat natapos ko, etc. So nung binalik ko na sa akin, binigay ko na sa advisor ko, so ano na lang, wala namang masyadong progress. Yung mga na-miss ko lang na sa pagpa-type, etc. No? But then, araw-araw yan, no? After office, so I start writing. Pag napagod ako, i-flip lang ako konti. And after that, continuous na naman yon. I was also doing field work. Pupunta ako ng Manila. Pag uwi ko ng Manila, then I have to continue writing. Okay. Siguro ano lang, you just assess lang, alamin nyo lang ano yung strength niyo and just focus. Don't leave yung pressure na pumasok sa isip niyo. Ako kasi ang guiding principle ko always, either in work man yan or in teaching, is that you treat your work as if it is play para ini-enjoy mo lagi yung ginagawa. And everything will come in, parang ganoon. Kasi kung masyado kang stress, masyado kang wala ka talagang maisusulat yun. So I know you have all your strengths also. Capitalize on those strengths. Okay? Remove the negative in you. Okay? Diba may sasabing the law of the universe, what you think is what you get. So pag negative ang inisip mo, paano ko gagawin ito? Ang hirap naman magsulat. Kasi yung mindset na sinabi natin, bakit marami nahihirapang magsulat ng research? Kasi nga yung very first mindset nila is mahirap ang research. When in fact, pag sinabi mong research, whether dissertation or thesis yan, kung alam mo yung subject, you go out to gather the data, yun lang naman yun. And then you put all together yung alam mo, walang mahirap doon. Yung mindset mo ang baguhin mo, 'di ba? Kaya nga you should have the right attitude for that. And for that, hindi natin masasabi, okay? You would also achieve, no? Okay, your dream, no? Baka yung susunod na magkaroon ng 1 or 1.1 ay manggagaling din sa inyo. So we do not know, 'di ba? Kasi bilog ang buwan at anything is possible. Okay?
There you have it. Thank you again for answering the questions of our participants, Sir Ricky. Unfortunately, that is the last question we can entertain because of the time constraint. But we will do our best to answer your question. Yung mga sinabit nyo po sa amin, sasagutin nyo lang po na via messenger or email. And I would like to remind everyone that our evaluation form will be posted on our NEUST Business Administration page. At this point of our program, I call on Ms. Lady Ann Murillo to present the Certificate of Recognition to our resource speaker.
Thank you, Sir Enzo. Thank you, Sir Ricky Simangan, for imparting your valuable insights and aspiration to us. So please allow me to read the certification, Republic of the Philippines, Nueva Ecija University of Science and Technology, Cabanatuan City, Graduate School. Certificate of Recognition is awarded to Dr. Richard B. Simangan for his invaluable contribution as resource person during the dissertation webinar entitled Searching Acceptable Research Problems and Presenting the Defense Paper, given this 17th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2021. Signed by Dr. Manuela P. Gutierrez and Dr. Jocelyn D. Cruz, Dean of the Graduate School. Thank you so much, everyone. Sir Enzo.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Richard, sa pag-share mo ng iyong knowledge, yung iyong expertise, tas lalo na yung iyong yung personal experience mo. We are truly blessed to have you this afternoon. Now, we are the last part of our webinar where we will be listening to the closing remarks to be given to us by Sir Angelo Santos.
Thank you, Sir Enzo. Good afternoon po. One of the goals of this webinar is to increase your knowledge and awareness of today's research issues. And indeed, we are all grateful to our resource speaker, Dr. Richard Simangan, for helping us to achieve this goal. Maraming salamat po, Sir Ricky. As a result of this, we are now more prepared to contribute to our community through research. On behalf of our entire team, we would like to thank God for such a fruitful and productive day. We'd also like to thank the people who put this webinar together. Dr. Manuela, our advisor, and the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Jocelyn Cruz. Maraming salamat po sa walang sawang suporta. Nagpapasalamat din po kami kay Ma'am Fronda, kay Sir Philip, and kay Dean Malu. Without them, this webinar would not be possible. And finally, thank you to everyone who came out to support this event. Your time and effort were greatly appreciated. Maraming salamat po. To conclude this webinar, I'd like to leave you a cliffhanger quote from Albert Einstein. If we knew what we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? Thank you very much and may God bless us all. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Angelo. Okay, may I request everyone to please open po yung kanilang mga camera para po sa ating photo op po. Ayan. 1, 2, smile po tayo. 1, 2, 3. Ayan, 4 po kasi to. Sandali lang po, nakaisa na tayo.
Kasali daw si Dean Josie. Is
Ay,
she
sige po.
around?
Sure po.
Teka, siguraduhin lang
1, 2,
natin if
3.
she's around. Teka.
Scan ko rin po ma'am kung andito. Hello po, Dean. Andito na po ba si Dean?
Teka, tawagan natin. Message mo na. Photo ops. Gusto daw niya na sumama Nag-request siyang wag na siyang mag-message. Tawagan ko nga, ba't ba?
Habang hinihintay po natin si Dean, we would like to acknowledge Dr. Mercy Santos. Hello, Ma'am Mercy. Ayan, yung ating mga teacher, andito po. Yung mga magagaling nating teacher, si Ma'am Jenny Fronda. Sino po ba yung mga? Si Sir Philip Balaria. Hello po, Sir Philip.
Dito na si Dean, kasama na.
Accept daw si Dean. Ayan na.
Dito na si Dean, kasama na.
Ayan na, okay.
Okay na, naka-join na ako. Thank you so much, Richard, to the organizers, to the professor. Thank you. Successful lang inyong seminar. Maganda.
Thank you po, Ma'am. Ma'am, lapit lang po kayo ng konti para po sa ating picture taking po. 1, 2, 3. Ayun. Okay na po.
Okay.
Thank you very much po. Maraming salamat po sa lahat. Sir Ricky,
Thank you, Sir
very much
Richard.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sir Ricky. Thank you po sa
po.
lahat.
Okay, congrats sa good work sa Group 2. Group
Thank
B.
you, ma'am. Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you po.
Good luck sa mga magsusulat. And so,
Thank you. Yes po.
Yes, sir. Si ano pa dyan, si Ruel, andyan din. Kailangan makatapos na din yan.
yeah, yes lang.
Sige po.
Sige po. Maraming salamat po. End na po namin yung Zoom.
Present
Thank
ba
you.
yung members ng group niya?
Mayroon nga.
Dean?
Din?
Yung mga ka-group niya. Yan. Enzo. Sa group ni Enzo.
Bakit?
Ako
Mayroon.
banggat. Sino group na members?
Si ang group members niya, si Attorney Ancheta, Mrs. Attorney Ancheta, si Enzo, si Lady Ann, saka si Angelo.
Okay. Congratulations sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you po. Thank you,
Pag
Dean.
nagbunga na maganda yung kanilang pag work kahit na gabi, kahit ano. Thank you,
Oo.
Dean. Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you, Dean.
Oo.
Thank you, Dean.
May klase kasi ako eh. May klase ako sa kasalukuyan. Sige, thank you.
Bye po.
Magaganda ang ngiti nyo, ha?
Parang nakikita na nila yung yung forma ng grade nila. Kasi
Hindi,
pa
gumaan,
yan,
gumaan
pero
yung pakiramdam nila kasi,
gumaan.
oo, hindi.
Nakayari na
kumbaga,
sila.
nahahawan yung daan, ano?
Mm. So, YouTube namin to, ma'am.
Oo.
YouTube namin
Oo,
to.
YouTube niya. Oo.
Okay.
Saka pwede na natin yan, gagamitin natin yung series ng mga webinar mo.